one to ensure that to point out the challenges facing education in Africa and make possible suggestions or recommendations to resolve and then address them. So 1961, the conference was held. In fact, the conference made a number of recommendations. One, the teaching of geography, history, civics as separate subject at the primary school level should be discouraged, but these subjects should be introduced to the child as an integral subject, integrated subject. The 1961 conference was not exhaustive, could not adequately discuss issues bordering education in Africa. So there was therefore the need to have another conference in 1967. This was held in UK, Oxford, Queen's College, to also further deliberate the challenges confronting education in Africa. That one was also not exhaustive. 1967 conference was not exhaustive. So we had another conference in 1968, and that was in Mombasa, Kenya, Africa. Yeah, so the African conference, a lot of African countries attended. Yeah, in fact, we will get there. And then Ghana was represented. Yeah, 1968, Ghana was represented. Papers were presented concerning the challenges confronting education in Africa. The African Social Studies program was established to ensure that social studies education in primary schools is implemented through the integrated approach and not the separate subject approach. Yes, so the ASSP played a key role in the education of the African child through the integrated approach. Good. So these are some of the issues that we discussed yesterday. Now, the question is, if Africa wants education or social studies to be implemented in an integrated manner, then the question is, what is integration and what type of integration did they recommend? What is integration and what type of integration did they recommend? Good. So that is where we pick it from. If you have questions, kindly draw my attention. Yeah, so the post-independent period, Anglophone African countries made effort and continue to make effort to adopt integrated approach. I've already mentioned this. Yeah, so when we say integrated approach, we are talking about where knowledge are selected from various social sciences and fuse them around themes and taught as integrated whole. That is according to Agawa 1982. Yes, so factors that influence the adoption of the integrated approach. Several factors influence the adoption. One, there was the need for relevant education. Yeah, so when we say relevant education that was relevant to our local people, our local needs. So it became relevant to effect some form of modification in the inherited curriculum. And then another factor was the unending search for sound and relevant education in terms of content. Because European education, the content was alien to our culture, it was alien to our environment. The scope, it covered issues in Europe. So geography that was taught was the geography of Europe, geography of Britain, among other things. And it was divorced from the environment of the African. The approach was teacher-centered, rote method of learning. Yes, so learners were encouraged to memorize. So the content was more European, I've mentioned that, and it was European bias, alien culture, food, values, habits, beliefs. Yeah, so the food, and now we have developed inordinate taste for European food. Yes, and today little children, our kids, they prefer European food to local food. Yeah, so our local food, mputoputo, to, what have you? Most of us even do not know how to prepare. Now we have developed interest in European food, Indomie, spaghetti, and others. Yeah, and that is what is of interest to us. Now, European values, we have also taken up European values, their habits. Yes, habits. African context, you can't talk to an elderly person using the left hand, but European will tell you that every hand is a hand, irrespective of the type of hand that you use. The most important thing is to communicate the message that you want to communicate through actions or the use of the hand. Yes, human rights. Yes, the child has a right. So as a parent, you do not have absolute control over your child. Yes, allow the child to also determine or decide for himself or herself. You don't have the right. So in Ghana, a child below 18, somebody below the age of 18, we consider the child as a minor. And for that matter, the person has no control over himself. But if the person hits 18 and above, 20, 21, the parent has no control over the person, over that particular child. Yes, so even if the person is staying with the parent, you do not have absolute control because the person is considered as a mature person. Yeah, so a whole lot of issues. And then the method of teaching, the approach I mentioned, that rote method of teaching, provision of factual information, allowing students to memorize fact, passing examination, getting certificates. Yes, so we have students who have certificates. We have people who have degrees but cannot solve our problems. Yes, they have degrees in farming, degrees in fishing, degrees in a whole lot, accounting, degrees in engineering, but we are unable to solve our own problems. Yes, we are unable to solve our own problems, which is a challenge. Yes, so there was therefore the need to change this. So the method and strategies for teaching the separate subject approach produce subject specialists. Yes, people who were geography alone, economics alone, history alone, without having adequate knowledge in other subject areas. So it was a challenge. So, but one thing we should note is that, so I'm not saying it is not good, it is good. But one thing is that if we have somebody who is specialized in geography alone and has no knowledge in economics or history, and the person attempt to solve societal problems which do not lend themselves to one specific subject area, the person might not be able to solve the problem holistically. There was therefore the need to change from the separate subject or European education to African education, which is integrated in nature. So this led to the emergence of a number of movements, number of associations, which spearheaded the change from separate subjects to integrated approach. And one of such movement was called the integration movement. Yeah. So, so the integration movement prompted a change from separate subject to integrated approach. It started it started from outside Africa, specifically Britain and US. Yes, in the United States of America, it was 20th century phenomenon. But in the so this was the beginning, around the time when the National Council for Social Sciences and Social Studies was formed. Yeah, so the effort by the United States of America, to ensure that social studies is taught in an integrated manner was supported by another international institution known as Universal Institute of Education, Hamburg, Germany. Yeah, so this institution also promoted the teaching of the social studies element of the social science at the primary school level or pre-university level. Teaching of the social sciences in an integrated manner at the pre-university level. Yes, so several conferences were also held. Yes. Now, so UK also showed interest in it. So in the integration movement. Now, the main focus of the movement was to consider suitable provisions that could be made for the teaching of secondary school pupils between ages of 14 and 18, the element of social sciences in an integrated manner. Yes, so we are teaching geography. In fact, geography was taught at the lower level, economics and history was taught, and then civics was taught at the primary school level across the countries colonized by Great Britain. Yes, so Ghana, we had our share. So geography was taught, history was taught, and then civic was taught. But you see, America saw that the teaching of these subjects as separate subject at the lower level was not helpful. In America, and for that matter, was not going to help Africa. Yeah, so 1961, they discouraged that. A recommendation was made to discourage that one. But when you look at the system of education right now, history has been reintroduced. History has been reintroduced at the lower level, primary school level. So they do history. They do history. In fact, there were attempts to also introduce what we call geography at the primary school level. Yeah, but the attempt was not successful. In fact, this is what last week I described as the politics of the curriculum. Politics of the curriculum. Every subject specialists want their subject to be introduced. So they make all the effort to push their subject into the various levels of education. Yes, so geographers made the effort to push geography to the lower level of education, but the attempt was not successful. But the historian, they were successful in introducing or pushing history into the curriculum. So it means that the introduction of history into the curriculum has the introduction of history into the curriculum reminds us of the recommendations that were made in 1961 that history, geography, and civics should not be introduced at the lower primary school or at the primary school level as a separate subject. So it sends us back to 1961, and it contradicts the recommendation that was made in 1961. Yes, so the integration movement, that was the focus of the integration movement. Now, there was another international conference, and you know it, I have already mentioned this one. All these attempts were made to switch from the separate subject approach to integrated approach. So 1961, there was a conference, 1961, integration movement was present. 1967, there was another conference. Yeah, so just to switch from the separate subject to integrated approach. Now, what is integration? What is this integration that we are talking about, and what major forms does it take? That is what we're going to look at. Now, when we say integration, we are looking at the regrouping of ideas, knowledge between disciplines or subject, in order to provide a new and intellectually reputable curriculum. That is integration. Let me come down a little. Now, when we say integration, what we mean is that we draw knowledge from different subject areas, and then we put them together to constitute a new subject. We draw experiences, we draw ideas, theories, generalizations, principles from different subject areas, and then put them together to constitute a new subject area. So we fuse them, we blend them, we unify them to produce a new subject. It is believed that, in fact, this becomes necessary because societal problems are integrated in nature. Societal problems are integrated in nature, and it also focuses on the child's way of perceiving the world, how children perceive the world, how they see the world. Yes, children in their early stages do not create boundaries among subjects. They see the world as one. For example, when there is a tree, everybody sees a tree as one. So when there's a mango tree, we see the mango tree as one. Although the mango tree has several components. We have the branches, the leaves, the stem, the root, and other parts. But we don't call a tree. We don't call a tree by those different components. So we don't demarcate, we don't compartmentalize the various components of a tree in order to define or describe a tree. No, we look at a tree in its holistic manner. Yes, we look at a tree in its holistic manner, although a tree has several components. So that is how knowledge should also be seen. Yes, we have geography, economics, history, we have sociology, anthropology, political science, government, and others. But we should not disintegrate knowledge into several forms. We have to unify, we have to fuse, blend them, bring them together to be seen as one. because societal problems, for example, you talk about teenage pregnancy. Teenage pregnancy has several dimensions. It has political dimension, it has social dimension, it has cultural dimension, it has economic dimension, it has several dimensions. For example, we can look at it from cultural point of view. In some cases, in some cultures, the prestige of the family depends on the number of children that one has and not the money that the person has. Yes, so you can have all the money, but if you don't have children, society perceive you in a different manner, from a different angle. And in this regard, children in their early stages are encouraged to give birth. Yes, so they give birth to a lot of children in their teen ages. So that is the culture of the people. In some cultures, they rely on family resources, human resources from the family to support the family business, family farms and others. Yes, so in this regard, they will not go outside to hire external hands to support the family business. They will rather rely on internal source of labor to support the family business. Yes, so once the child gets to the age of 12, 13, 14, the child is encouraged to give a lot of to give birth to a lot of children so that they can support family. So that is cultural practices. That is the way of life of the group of people. Yes, there are some cultural groups that believe in early marriages. Early marriages. So the child, once the child hits 10, 11, 12, in fact, you and I are in a country where we have heard of several instances where children were given out for marriage. Their hands were given out for marriage, children. Yes, within their teen ages. Yes, in fact, it is a cultural practice of a group of people in a country to give, to encourage early marriages. So once the child gives, the child is given out for marriage within the teen age, then the child begins to give birth. So that is cultural dimension of it. Then we have the economic aspect of it. You and I know that, yes, poverty is a major cause of some of these problems. So the child, because the child cannot feed himself, and if somebody is ready and willing to feed him, okay, then it becomes something else. So that is the economic aspect of it. Yes, so let me exchange this for that. Yes, exchange, they say it's not robbery. So it's use what you have to get what you do not have. Yes, so it also leads to what we call teenage pregnancy. Yes, so that is the economic aspect. Geographical aspect, we have certain geographical areas that are prone to this particular environmental problem. Yes, research has shown that communities close to university campuses usually suffer from this problem. Yes, so we have geographical cause of it. So once the child is found close to a university campus, the child is likely to suffer from this particular problem. Yes, so that is the geographical aspect of it. We can look at it from historical. So we can trace it in some families. Yes, when you look at it critically, you study it and you analyze it critically, you see that the great-great-grandmother was around 19 and gave birth. And then the great-grandmother was 18, gave birth to the first child. So the grandmother, as soon as the grandmother got to 16, she gave birth. The mother gave birth to the child when the mother was at the age of 14. So now the child is at the age of 9. History is likely to repeat itself. So once the child hits the teen age, 13, 12, 14, history is likely to repeat itself because that is the history in the family. Yes, so the child is likely to also give birth. So we have the historical dimension. We can look at it from several angles. So when the problem of teenage pregnancy, this problem, we want to address it and we look at it from only historical perspective, then the problem will be half solved. when it is addressed from only geographical perspective, economic perspective, then we say, oh, let us give them money, let us give them employment, let us give them work, something to do, so that they will earn livelihood or whatever, and they will not engage themselves. Have we looked at it from the cultural point of view? Have we looked at it from historical point of view? Have you looked at it from the economic point of view or whatever, other points of view? Yeah, so that is what we call integration. So let us bring knowledge from different subject areas and then put them together and then use them to solve societal problems. Yeah, so flooding is another major problem in society. Flooding, we have geographical, the nature of the land, terrain. Yes, the topography, is it steep, is it gentle, is it flat, is it waterlogged? That is geographical. Cultural practices. People indiscriminately deposit solid waste materials into river channels, into waterways. It is culture, way of life, cultural practices. That's our way of life. So we look at it, then we can look at it from government and politics perspective, the interest, the will, political will to address the problem. We can look at it from that particular, we can look at it from economic. If we do not have the economic means to fight flooding, then flooding will continue to be with us. Yes, we can look at it from town planning perspective. Yes, how we plan our towns, how we plan our cities. Yes, constructing small and narrow gutters, which are unable to convey volumes of water when it rains, the excess of water. If our water channels are small, they are too small, narrow, and they are unable to cover, they are unable to convey excess of water during heavy downpour, it becomes a problem. When we plan settlement in such a way that we do not leave the settlement are such that we encourage what we call slums. Yes, slums. So development of slums. We know slums do not allow water, air, and other things. Yeah, because everything is crowded. Yeah, so it becomes a challenge. So we look at it from that perspective. We can look at it from several perspectives. Yes, cultural perspective. We have talked about culture, I've talked about political science, I've talked about. We can look at it from historical perspective. There are some places, yeah, you and I know, there are some places since Kwame Nkrumah gained independence for this country. The place every day, every year, when it floods, when it rains, there's flooding. There's flooding every year. It is history that is repeating itself. We know that definitely. When it rains heavily, next year, that particular place will flood. So that is integration. So we interlink concepts, knowledge, principles, generalization from other disciplines in order to describe social phenomena or issues or to solve social problems. So to solve social problems, marital problems in marriage, yes, are not only as a result of infidelity. No, infidelity is not the only problem in marriage. Problems in marriage are also integrated in nature. Yes, are integrated in nature. When there is no money in the marriage, it could lead to troubles, conflict in marriage. When there is excessive money in the marriage, that can also lead to conflict. Yes. So the man has a lot of money. Then in some cases, the man begins to flirt outside. Yeah. The man does not have money. The man is unable to discharge his responsibility. That is also, that could lead to conflict. Yes. So child upbringing can also cause conflict in marriage. We have a whole lot of challenges. Yes. So the challenges are not aligned with one particular subject area. No, the challenges in marriage is not limited to only geography, not only limited to religion, not limited to sociology, the culture, the way of life of the people. No, problems in society, conflict in society, ethnic conflict in society has several dimensions They are multifaceted in nature. The problems are multifaceted in nature. Yes, ethnic conflict. Yes, so if that is the case, if they are multifaceted, so ethnic conflict, we have the geographical cause of it. Some of them is as a result of land. Yes, land dispute. That is one. So if we want to solve it, we look at it from the geographical point of view, which is land. We can also trace the genesis of it. When did it start? What triggered it initially? We can look at it from historical perspective. We can also look at it from cultural perspective. What is the culture of the people engaged in that particular ethnic conflict? So when you want to resolve and address ethnic conflict, you don't look at it from one perspective. Economic point of view. Yes, economic point of view. Are the people engaged? Are they employed? Are they employed? Yes, because if the person does not have any job, you see, if the person is working, having a reputable job, the person would never quit the job and then engage in such a conflict. No. Yeah, so we look at it from ethnic perspective, from economic perspective, we look at it from cultural perspective, we look at it from government and politics perspective. Yes, some politicians, they fool some of these ethnic conflict. Yes, so they hide behind certain personalities, certain people. Yes, the youth in society, and they keep on fueling, supplying guns, ammunition, and among other things. Yes, so if we want to address ethnic conflict and address it very well, perfectly, then we need to look at it from holistic perspective. And that is what integration seeks to do. That is what integration seeks to do. So when we say integration, integration is necessary because societal problems are not, they do not lend themselves to single subject approach, but rather they are holistic in nature. So that is what it means when we say integration. So problems of society are not put into into compartment. We have not compartmentalized. We have not divided problems of society into geography, history, civic, economic, and the rest. No. So if that is the case, to be able to solve the problems, we need to look at ideas. We need to look at it from geographical causes of the problem, economic cause of the problem, historical cause of the problem, and other cause of the problem in order to solve the problem. Yes, so that is what we mean by integration, borrowing ideas, knowledge, experiences, principles from different subjects to explain phenomena. Yes, example, you will need some geographical knowledge or ideas to be able to understand the social problem like ethnic conflict. Yes, I have mentioned this, I've cited this as an example. Again, this problem might have economic undertones, and for that matter, economic ideas must be employed. And then sociological aspect, sociology of the people must also be considered. Yeah, we might also fall on historical perspective. Yeah, so this is what we call integration. That is integration. Now, the integration that we're talking about, we have two major forms. Two major forms. One is what we call vertical integration, and two, horizontal integration. Let me pause and see if there are questions. Please, if there are questions, let me know before I proceed with what I have. Good. So I'm giving you about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Ponder over what I have covered so far and ask your questions. Okay, good. So let me proceed now. Okay, Asempa, Emmanuel, make your submission. Your hand is up.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Please, talking about the factors that account for the adoption of the integrated approach, can we use the weaknesses of the colonial education to as part of those factors? Can we fit
Exactly.
some of them into it?
Exactly. And they fall under searching for relevant education. Yeah, the European education was not relevant to us. So we can exactly do that.
Because I see the factors were the ones you showed on the slide were limited to about three. That was why.
Yeah, don't worry. See, this is why the reason why we call it PowerPoint is just points. Yeah, so it is up to us and you in particular to elaborate it, to expand it. Yeah, so it is not everything that can be captured on the slides. Yeah, so what we are saying is also right. Yeah, you're right. Good. Is there any other question? Good. Now let me proceed. Yeah, so the forms of integration, we have what we call vertical integration and we have horizontal integration. Vertical is from bottom to top. Horizontal is from left to right, or west to east. So vertical integration simply means the type of integration which occurs in a single subject. The reintroduction of certain subject at different levels, as while the child, the learner, climbs the academic ladder, certain concepts are reintroduced. Yes, so this is reinforced by the principle of teaching from simple to complex, teaching from known to the unknown. Yeah, so as the child climbs the ladder, the academic ladder, certain concepts are repeated but at a difficult level, complex level. For example, when you talk about constitution, which is at the national level, Constitution of Ghana, you can teach the child at KG1 Constitution of Ghana, but it depends on how you teach it, how you explain it to him. You can start from the home, the rules, regulations that daddy and mommy have made to regulate the activities of the house. Yes, and the children, they know a lot of this. So you ask the child, yes, so what are the do's and the don'ts in the house? KG1 child will be able to tell you that, yes, in my house, daddy says if something is there and does not belong to you, don't take it. If you want to take something, seek permission first. Daddy says by 7, everybody should be on bed. Daddy, mommy says that you don't fight, you don't insult, you don't do this, you don't do that. If you want to do this, do that. Yes, so the rules and regulations at home. So then you gradually, so that is what they know. The Constitution of Ghana, they don't know. So you gradually link it to the Constitution at school. So that is what we call. While the child climbs the ladder, so there are certain concepts that are introduced at lower level. Class 1, it is repeated at class 2 with a difficult content. Yeah, so that is what we call vertical integration. So the higher you go, the hotter it becomes, the more difficult it becomes, lower to higher level. That is what we call vertical integration. Horizontal integration occurs when similar same concepts are introduced at one level of education, but across different subject areas. Across different subject areas. When I say across different subject areas, we have certain concepts in geography that are repeated in economics, that are also repeated in history, that are repeated in government. Yes, just to reinforce the principle of transferring knowledge from one subject area to another area. So the concept of like population, it is taught in integrated science. In geography, we talk about population. In history, we talk about the population of Ghana at independence. In economics, we also talk about population census, and others in economics. Yes, so same concept, but introduced at the same level across different subject areas. This is what we call horizontal integration. Horizontal integration. Yeah, so when we talk about integration, these are the main forms of integration. Now, we have different types of integration. Different types of integration. Yeah, so the integrated approach that was recommended during the Momasa conference, let's look at the type that it took or is supposed to take. Yeah, so we have different, in fact, different writers have come up with their own classifications of the concept of integration. Now we can look at 3 major types of integration, 3 basic types. Yes, but as we move along, I'll be adding the fourth type of integration. So for now, let's look at 3 types of integration. Now, the first is the multidisciplinary integration. Take note of it. Multidisciplinary integration. When I say multi, what does it mean? I want you to come in. Multi. What does it mean?
Plenty.
Multi. Come again.
Made up of
Many.
different,
Many.
many, plenty,
Oh,
multi, many, plenty.
raise your hand.
Hey,
Oh,
Papa,
raise your hand.
plenty, multi.
Raise,
Many bracket
raise your
plenty.
hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Good. Ayiba Jonathan Baba. Ayiba. What?
Thank you, though.
Your microphone is not well fixed. Can I check your
Okay.
microphone?
Do you
Is
not hear me?
can't hear you. Dora Dede Mesa. Dora Dede. Dora Dede. Hello, Dora. Dora. Dora is also not talking. Dora, unmute your microphone and talk. Paul, a FIFA, we are playing.
I'm saying more. It means more.
It means more. Multi. Multi means more. Okay, good. Multi. Okay, good. All right. So thank you. Dora, if you're ready, tell us something. Multi, you say something is multi, it's more. Okay. All right. Now, so when we say multidisciplinary integration, what we mean is the type of integration. So more comes from or connote two or more or more than two variables. Yeah. So multidisciplinary integration occurs when two or more subjects are brought together to be taught under one umbrella subject. One umbrella subject. What does it mean? Several subjects are brought together to be taught under one umbrella subject. So here, several subjects, geography, economics, history, are taught under social studies, or physics, chemistry, biology are taught under integrated science. So integrated science is a multidisciplinary because several subjects are taught under integrated science, which is one subject. So that is multi. Now I want you to cite examples of certain subject at the senior high school level that is multidisciplinary in nature, or that is taught through the multidisciplinary integration. Any subject
That's
I've made,
integrated science.
I've talked about
Integrated
integrated.
science.
I've talked about it already.
English language. English language.
So what makes English language an integrated subject?
That when it has comprehension, grammar,
Good,
composition.
good, good. Thank you. Yeah. So that is what we call multidisciplinary. So multidisciplinary. These subjects, geography, English, composition, comprehension, grammar, literature are taught under English. The broad subject is English. When we say English language is the name for the broad subject area. That is multidisciplinary in nature. Yeah, when you look at geography, you have physical geography, you have map reading, you have regional human geography. Yeah, so that is also multidisciplinary in nature. So any subject where the various other subjects are taught and the broader subject, that subject is known to be a multidisciplinary subject. Yes, so, and in fact, that is how the social studies was intended to be taught. That is how the social studies was taught. The social studies was taught, but it was taught as geography, history, civics, geography, history, civics, geography, history, civics, not as social studies itself. Yeah, so, and when you look at it critically, like integrated science, we have the biology teacher, we have the physics teacher, we have the chemistry teacher, ICT teacher, or a Greek teacher. These teachers come together to constitute. It is not taught by one person. So we have, concerning English, we have the grammar teacher, we have the composition teacher, we have the literature teacher, and then we have other teachers. Yeah, so they teach based on specialization. They have specialized in an area, and they teach based on their area of expertise, based on their expertise. Yeah, so it is believed that if it is promoted in that manner, the expert will be able to teach and teach it well. Yes, so that is the idea. Yes, and when you look at it from that perspective too, experts are able to provide detailed information to the learners. So that is what we call multidisciplinary. Multidisciplinary. So there is one television box that contains several television stations. That is multidisciplinary. Now we have what we call the next type of integration. So others call it coordination of subject, correlation of subject, among other things. The second type is interdisciplinary integration. Interdisciplinary integration. When we say inter means between and among. Yeah, so we have intercity, ICT, STC, intercity, hopping from one city to another city, hopping from one city to another. So interdisciplinary integration. We hop, we jump from one subject area to another subject area to collect the salient, the key issues in those subject areas, and then they are brought together to constitute a subject. This is what we call interdisciplinary integration. So when you look at the subject, you see that we have some element of geography, economics, history, among other things. Yeah, so that is interdisciplinary. An example is social studies. So social studies at the senior high school level. Yesterday I showed you a copy of the content of social studies at the senior high school level. So when you look at it critically, it has some element of geography, economics, history. In fact, put together as one subject to be taught by one teacher. So here, the teacher will not come and write, we have social studies and another geography. Then the teacher will teach the geography aspect. No, interdisciplinary is not implemented in that manner. Unlike integrated science, where the biology teacher will come and write on the board. Integrated science, so we have integrated science. So under the integrated science, the biology teacher will write biology. It means the biology teacher is going to teach the biology component of integrated science. In the case of interdisciplinary, that does not happen. So everything is. So we select the key point. Yeah, we select the key point to implement. Yeah, so we select the key point to implement. So that is interdisciplinary. Yes. Now, then the next is what we call transdisciplinary. In fact, transdisciplinary integration is a little bit similar to interdisciplinary integration, but there's a line that separates the two. Now, with regards to the transdisciplinary, when we say trans means going beyond. So it ignores subject lines. Now, before we go to transdisciplinary integration, we must either identify a problem that we want to solve or an experience that we want to provide before this curriculum is implemented. What problem do you want to solve? What experience do you want to develop in the learners? So identify these key issues. Now, having identified them, then you consult the books, the subject areas that are capable of providing information to solve the problem that you've identified. So if there's a problem, there's a subject that has nothing to do so far as addressing the problem is concerned, then you ignore that particular problem. Yes, in the case of transdisciplinary. So if you want to provide an experience to your learners, the question is, what kind of experience do you want to provide? I want them to develop the experience in analyzing data. So data analysis skills, the experience in analyzing data. Then you ask yourself, which of the subject areas will contribute to the development of these experiences that I want my learners to develop. Then you say, okay, for data analysis, I will need research, data analysis, I will need this subject, then you consult those subjects and draw knowledge that will be relevant to the development of the skills that you have identified. In the same way, if there's a problem that you want to solve, what problem have you identified? You have identified the problem of poor sanitation among a particular community. So how do you solve it? Let me see what subject, when consulted, will help me provide knowledge to help address this particular problem. Then you say, okay, for environmental sanitation, let me go to science, let me go to chemistry, let me go to RME, let me go to this environmental studies. Okay, so let me draw knowledge from these subjects, because these subjects have the potential to providing knowledge, experiences to solve this particular problem. So in this case, if there's a subject that does not help in providing the experiences that you have identified or providing knowledge to address the problems that you have identified, you don't consult those subjects. You only consult the subjects that are relevant to the to addressing the problem that you have identified. Yes. Now the difference between the interdisciplinary and the transdisciplinary is that with regards to the interdisciplinary, the curriculum is developed without necessarily identify any problem or experience that we want to solve or inculcate or develop. We just draw knowledge from different subject areas, knowledge which we deem necessary, relevant to the development of the child. But in the case of a transdisciplinary, the curriculum is developed first by identifying either a problem or an experience that you want to develop. So that is the transdisciplinary. So we have experience-centered transdisciplinary and problem-centered transdisciplinary. The experience-centered transdisciplinary help is geared towards providing experiences, while the problem-centered transdisciplinary is geared towards solving problems. Now, I can see some hands. Let me address them. Yeah. Let me go to Emmanuel Asempa. Emmanuel Asempa.
All right, thank you, Doc. Please, I want the distinction between the multidisciplinary and then the interdisciplinary.
Okay, right. Your question will be addressed. Thank you. So multidisciplinary, several subjects are taught under one broad subject. Example is integrated science. So teacher enters the classroom, write on the board integrated science, meaning we have integrated science, but the teacher will teach one subject that constitutes the whole or the entire integrated science, which is biology. Then the next time, another teacher will write integrated science, will not teach biology, but rather chemistry. Yeah, so different subjects are taught under one umbrella subject. That is multidisciplinary. Interdisciplinary, we collect or we draw knowledge from geography, we draw knowledge from biology, chemistry, physics, ICT, put them together to be taught as one subject. So here the teacher enters the class and write integrated science. If the teacher is going to teach it through the interdisciplinary approach, the teacher write integrated science on the subject and will not write any subject below it, but will just go straight forward to teach, because the content has been developed in such a way that ideas, knowledge, information have been drawn from the combining subject, the various subjects, and then put together or blended or fused to constitute a single subject. That is the difference.
Oh, okay. Then the examples we cited for the multidisciplinary, when we were looking at the multidisciplinary, we cited an example such as English language. Then it may better fit under the interdisciplinary, if I may understand the
Why?
Why? Because
why?
Yeah, why? Because if the teacher goes to teach the English language, okay, I got it. If it is grammar aspect, the teacher is going to indicate that it is English grammar, so that will be multidisciplinary.
Good.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. We thank God that you have found the answer yourself. Well, I'm going to ask you how your English teacher taught you English.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So the teachers, they will come and write English language and another grammar, or English language literature, English language comprehension. That is how the teachers teach it. Yes, except maybe, in fact, I don't know whether different things are happening in different schools. So thank you very much for that. Let me go to John. I'll come to those in the chat. So I've seen some questions in the chat, so I'll go there. Yes, John, John.
Okay, thank you, sir. So my confusion is about the types.
Yeah.
So if the question goes like mention any two types of integration, which one are we going for? Because we are told we have vertical and we have horizontal, and after that we are looking at the multidisciplinary, the interdisciplinary, and
Hello, John. Don't confuse yourself.
yes,
The vertical and
okay.
horizontal were described as forms.
Forms. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
check it out. Forms. So the types are different from the forms. All right.
Okay, sir.
Ayiba Jonathan. Ayiba Jonathan. Yeah, go ahead with your submission.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doc, for the opportunity. Please,
Ayiba, your network, go ahead, we are listening.
Can you please hear me?
Your microphone is not clear. There's background noise in the microphone.
Okay. Sorry about that. My concern is about the
Are you using
Still, you can't hear me.
Are you using earphone?
No, please, I'm not using your
Phone. Are you using your
I
phone or laptop?
I'm using phone.
Your phone. I would suggest that you see you
I'm
put
using
it
mobile
at
phone.
I have put it on the table. So I think because it is shaking, because it is shaking, we could hardly hear you. Yeah.
I will type.
Okay. So do it. Check it. You have to put it at one place. Don't shake it so that I think it is as a result of the shaking we are hearing some background. Let me go to Dede. Dede, your hand is up. Dede. Hello, Dede. Dede, your hand has been up since your last question. I don't know whether it is the same thing. If it is the same thing, I would suggest that you lower your hand, because if you keep raising it, you might feel some pains in your hand for raising it for that long. So did they kindly lower your hand? If you know, they tell her for me, because I don't want her to experience or suffer from hand pains. Yeah, she has raised the hand for quite a long time. Dora Intiamwa, kindly make your submission. Dora Intiamwa, make your submission. Dora Intiamwa, okay. Dora, lower the hand. Let me quickly go to the chat. Curtis, good morning, brothers and sisters. No sound, please. Curtis, kindly check your microphone. Others are hearing, so it means that it is coming from you. Becca, Goka, so please, does it mean a subject can be both interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary? A subject can be both interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. The answer is yes. Yes. So social studies can be taught as through the interdisciplinary approach or the multidisciplinary approach. Yeah, so we can design a multidisciplinary approach. You can design the interdisciplinary approach. And in fact, when it comes to the University of Cape Coast, yesterday I was mentioning it, and I explained that in the University of Cape Coast, we have adopted both the multidisciplinary and the multidisciplinary, because we teach we have the separate subject approach under it, and that is why you do economics, that is why you do geography and other subject areas, history. And then we have the interdisciplinary. That is why you have social studies content, like teaching social studies, like developing social studies in Ghana and Africa, like being in scope of social studies, method of teaching social studies, and others. Yeah, so we can. So the answer is yes. Kuna do so say in view of the types, then social studies will fall under the interdisciplinary. Yes. So at the pre-university level, social studies falls under the interdisciplinary approach. Yes, so that is the answer to your question. Aiba, you can also type your question. I'm going to read it. Stephen Tamate says, "Sir, please, at the basic level, we can classify social studies under interdisciplinary." Exactly, we can do that. Aiba Jonathan has sent his question. Please, can mathematics fall under multidisciplinary? since it covers some aspect of elective mathematics. Yes, so mathematics. So it depends on how mathematics is taught. It depends. What are the components of mathematics? What are the components of mathematics as a subject? So if mathematics has several components, then and teachers come to teach, we have teachers who teach the various aspects of those components, then we can classify mathematics as multidisciplinary. But one thing that you should note is that the multidisciplinary is perfectly implemented through the team teaching approach, where teachers teach their areas of expertise. So let us take note of that. Good. So these are the information from the chart. Good. So if I can continue, I think if there's no question, then permit me to continue. Now, the last one that I talked about, I said I will add what we call the predisciplinary integration. Predisciplinary integration. When we say predisciplinary, pre means before the child is introduced to the formal curriculum. In Ghana, basic education begins from KG1. So we have 11 years of basic education, 2 years kindergarten education, 6 years primary school education, making 8, and then 3 years junior secondary education, making 11. Yeah, and then we have 3 years senior secondary, senior higher education. Yeah, so formal education in Ghana begins from age 4, and begins from KG1, kindergarten 1. Yeah, but you see, prior to the entry into kindergarten, when you look around, look at the system critically, there is a new development. In fact, prior to 2007, KG1 or KG, kindergarten was not classified. Kindergarten education was not classified as part of the formal education. So prior to that, formal education ended at was 9 years. Formal basic education started from class 1 to GHS 3, which was 9 years. But the inclusion of the kindergarten education has expanded it to 11 years. But when you look around, you see a new system of education that is emerging. The crèche type of education, crèche. Before the child gets to KG, the child is also introduced to a new form of education that prepares the child to successfully fit the kindergarten. In fact, I will not be surprised to see in some years to come, crèche education being considered as part of formal education. I will not be surprised, because that is how kindergarten education started. Yeah, kindergarten education started as not being part of formal education in Ghana, but because government and successive government and other stakeholders in education realized the role that kindergarten education plays in the child's development, kindergarten education was made part of the formal education. Yes, so at the crèche level, learners learn a lot, right from 3 months to somewhere 3 years, 9 months or so. The child is introduced some form of curriculum. Yes, so the child is introduced to some form of curriculum at that particular level. Crèche, those of you who have your children at crèche, they do English, they do mathematics, they do geography, they do biology, they do a whole lot of things at the crèche level. Yes, you are laughing. Yes, they do geography. Now, tell me the geography that is taught at that place. Tell me the geography that is taught at crèche. Yes. So, crèche. What did they do? Geography. Now, let me tell you the geography that is taught at crèche. And then let me also tell you the biology that is taught at crèche. When the learners go there, they are taught through rhymes like rain, rain, go away. Rain, go away. Go and come another day. Little children want to play. Rain, go away. They are learning rain. They are learning the effect of rain on their play at the crèche. And that falls under geography. And look at how the learners are taught the geography. So here, learners are introduced to the effect of rain on children's play. But at a higher level, learners are taught the types of rainfall and how they are formed. Yes, the type of rainfall and how they are formed. But at that level, they are taught the effect of rain on their play. At a higher level, learners are taught effect of rainfall on agricultural activities. Yes, so at that level, they are being taught geography. But you see that the content is introduced to them in a manner that will fit, that will meet their maturity level. Yes, that maturity level. They do biology. How do they do the biology there? They are exposed to the various components, various parts of the human body. And what are those parts of the human body and how are they exposed to? Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, and mouth and ears and nose, and the rest will follow. Yes, they are being exposed to the various human body. In biology, we are also exposed at a higher level. We are also exposed to the human anatomy, to the human body, part of the human body, and the functions of the various parts of the human body. So at the lower level, crèche level, the child is also introduced to these components of the human body. Now let me pause and then invite you. Tell me other subjects and how those subjects are introduced. Tell me other subjects. I have talked about geography. I have talked about biology. Tell me other subjects and how they are introduced. Good, good. I can see some hands. Let me go to Salome. Salome, yes, let's go.
So they are taught mathematics.
Mathematics, in what form? Tell me.
In the rhyming form.
Good. So tell me one rhyme.
One rhyme is 1 ducky, 2 duckies, 3 little duckies, 4 duckies, 5 duckies, 6 little duckies.
Exactly.
Apples.
Yes.
And they also have I'm counting 1. What is 1? 1 is 1 alone. Alone is shiny. I'm counting 2. What is 2? 2 pair, compare, letters pair. And also they have a certain song. When I stand up and I sit down, when I stand up alone, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. That is dancing. Thank you.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Congratulations. In fact, this one, if you did not attend a good crèche, or if you did not attend crèche, you will not be able to recite some of these things. Yes, you are only familiar with the old local ones. Fox, go into the box. Why? No, because I'm too big. Good, that is good. Thank you very much, Salome. Let me go to Matilda. Johannes.
Yes, Doc. At the crèche level, in some of them, they teach them a bit of creative art. So you see that they'll give them some books and they'll ask them to color. Just to check their creativity level. And some do it very well.
Yes, exactly. The foundation of student knowledge in color, various types of colors, start from that place. Yes, start from that place. There are some colors that at times my kids, they mention their names. I wonder and I ask myself, so where were these colors when I was in KG? Yes, or GS has revised the curriculum, or these were just introduced into the curriculum. Yeah, we have different types of, it was at this age that I realized that we have different types of colors. We have mauve, we have blondie, we have this, we have that, we have that. The colors that we knew were just red, gold, green, and then others. Yeah, so thank you very much. Yes, Nora, Nole, Noi. Nora.
Sir.
Yes, madam.
They are also taught science.
Science, good.
They teach them, yes, they teach them hygiene, how to wash their hands, how to deposit their rubbish in the bin.
Mhm. Good.
So that
Exactly.
is also a form of
Exactly.
science.
Yes. Yes. You've done well. Yes. So they teach all these things, and that is science. Science, that is the foundation of their knowledge in science. So this type of integration is what we call the pre-disciplinary integration. It is the type of integration that is made available to children who are not matured enough to be introduced to the solid fact of the social sciences and the natural sciences. Yes, so that is the pre-disciplinary integration. So that is pre-disciplinary. Yes, Salome Johannes, please go ahead with your submission.
So they take them sociology
Good, go
in
ahead.
terms of socialization too, whereby they have a song, my friend, my friend.
Good. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Happy to see you, happy to meet you. Welcome, 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 welcome. How do you do? Welcome, welcome. How do you do? Happy to see you, happy
my
to meet
friend.
you. Welcome, welcome. How do you do? Happy to see you, my friend.
Socialization, sociology. Yes, sociology. So that is how they teach. So they teach sociology. They teach mathematics. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a little fish, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I let it go away. Why did it go? Because it did my little hand. Wait, yes. So they teach them all these mathematics. They teach them English. They teach them sociology. They teach them biology, RME, among other things. Yes, they teach them all these subjects. Yes,
Mario.
say Margaret. Say Margaret. Hey, somebody's receiving greetings at the background. Yes, Tay, go ahead with your oh, Tay, you have lowered your hand. Yes, so that is so RME is also taught, but you see, you will not clearly see that it is this RME that they are teaching or mathematics that they are teaching. But you see, everything has been incorporated, integrated in such a way that learners are able to absorb them. Yes, they're able to absorb, they're able to learn at that level, Yes, and see, because of that, they're able to speak English at that level as early as 4, 5, 6 years, or even 4 years, at times 3 years, 2 years, when the child begin to speak, they're able to speak English. They're able to speak it at that level. So, and this is made possible through integration. Annie, Johannes, make yourself.
Okay, so some also learn with the creativity. In my school, they use leaves in spelling their names in the sun. That
Hello.
also is creativity. Hello, sir. Okay, with that of creativity, I'm giving an example. They also use leaves. Myself. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
They
hear you.
use leaves in designing their names in the sun.
Yes.
They also learn physical education. At times they do high jumping, low jumping, and those things.
Exactly. So you see, these subjects that are taught at the higher level, the same subjects are taught at the crèche level. Learners are able to receive them in an integrated manner. Yes, they do family system. They learn about the family. Is the father, the mother. Baby finger, where are you? Here I am. How do you do? Mommy finger, where are you? Here I am. How do you do? So they learn the family system. At times they are asked to even draw the nuclear family. Draw your father, your mother, and yourself, your siblings, and be able to do that. This is what we call the pre-disciplinary integration. Good. Now let's look at the advantages of integration. Learners have the opportunity to see knowledge as integrated whole, but not compartmentalized into subject areas. these things you have mentioned. Then it also provides collaborative mechanisms for dealing with multi-societal problems that defy solution within a single subject approach. Yes, so that is another advantage of integration. And then it helps to motivate learners to learn as content seem related and meaningful. Yes, at the lower level, go to KG, go to crèche. They find it interesting to learn the subject. They find it interesting to learn the rhymes that cut across various subject areas. Yes, interesting, interesting. So learners are motivated to learn, but it has weaknesses. One is that because knowledge is not provided in detail, it provides shallow or insufficient content to learners and make learners shallow-minded to some extent, and it results in what we call watering down of rigorous disciplines. Yes, we are talking about geography, teaching geography. Yes, rainfall, but the learner picks an aspect of rainfall, which is the effect of rainfall on play, and that is all that the learner is interested in. What about the other component of rainfall? Yeah, so experts believe that if the learner is not introduced to rainfall in its totality, it might create some problems. And then lack of resources in the sense that if we are combining geography, economics, history, like integrated science, then we need resources for teaching chemistry, resources for teaching physics, resources for teaching biology in order to teach it effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the issues related to integration. Yes, in fact, at the conference in 1968, the type of integration that was recommended was the interdisciplinary as well as the transdisciplinary integration. Inter as well as the transdisciplinary integration, and not the multidisciplinary integration. Thank you for your attention. Any question, any comment, any suggestions, any concerns before I proceed with another topic?
Hello, sir.
Hello, yes.
Sir, please, can we have a short break now or we'll take it later?
Let me give the short break around 9. Yeah. So
Okay,
let me
sir.
have 30 minutes. I can even
Okay, sir.
close you. I can close you. Yes, around that time. Now, I'm planning to change the courses and then the time, if that will be possible. We have more to do in development of social studies, less to do in teaching social studies. So I'm planning to make the development Saturday and then teaching Sunday. Yeah, because we're teaching, we are allowed to feel content to go, but development we have more content to go. Yeah, so but whatever be the case, information will be circulated. All right. Okay, so give me a few minutes. Let me share the next slides, then we can continue. Let me share the next slides. Okay. So we are continuing with the conferences that were held. Conferences that were held prior to the introduction of social studies in an integrated manner. The conferences that were held. I have already spoken about these conferences, but let me just give you another bit of information regarding the conferences. Okay, so the first conference that we're going to consider is the Massachusetts Conference. The Massachusetts Conference, which was held in the United States of America, that is Massachusetts. Yeah, so Massachusetts Conference was held in Massachusetts between June 19 to July 29, 1961. Was held in Endicott House of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Now, participants of the conference. Hello, please, are you there?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Participants of the conference were drawn from Africa. So we had Africans attending. We have participants from Britain, participants from the United States of America. Now, the main task of the conference was to investigate problems associated with education in newly independent African countries, and then come out with coherent proposals meant to solve them. That was the main task of the 1961 conference. Investigate problems associated with education in Africa. And come out with measures that intended to solve. And the subject areas that were investigated included mathematics, science, humanities, social studies, language, teacher education, and proposed African Educational Institute. These were the issues concerned. There was a problem with mathematics. The currencies that were cited as examples was the dollar or the pounds. These were the and then the science examples were cited outside Africa, among other things. Yeah, so there was therefore, in fact, during the conference, various subcommittees were set up to investigate the various subject areas. Yeah, so there was a committee for mathematics, committee for science, committee for humanities, committee for social studies, language, teacher education, and others. Now the committees came out with their recommendations. Yeah, and because we are into social studies, we are not going to concentrate on the recommendations by other committee members, other subject areas, but we are focusing on social studies committee. Now, the committee in charge of social studies, humanities, made the following recommendations, which I've already echoed it to you. teaching of history, geography, civics as separate subject in primary schools in Africa introduces artificial divisions in the social sciences and should be discouraged. That was the first. Now, the second recommendation was that the child should be introduced to the social sciences as integral field of study and should be made to appreciate them right from the start of education. Yeah, so the history, the civics, and others were to be taught as integrated subject and not as separate subject. An example of how social studies should be taught was demonstrated. The study of village or the home will include study of the history of the village, structure. So history of the village falls under history, structure of the village falls under geography, local government falls under government, the position of the village in relation to other towns and villages in the district falls under geography. Yes, so that is how it was taught. So that was the first conference, which was the Massachusetts conference. Now the second conference was in 1967, Queen's College. Now, Queen's College also aimed at exploring cooperatively the need and priorities in curriculum development of the African countries that were present. It wasn't every African country that was present, but the countries that were present, there was a need to focus on their primary, secondary, and teacher training education. Yes, to focus on primary education, secondary, and teacher training education. Now, the conference agreed that there was a need to give prior attention to the development of social studies education in primary schools in Africa. Yeah, so 1967 Oxford Conference gave priority to the development of social studies education in Africa. Now, 1967 conference resolved that arrangements should be made for the distribution of information about existing state of curriculum development in the field of social studies. Yeah. Now, the 1967 conference was attended and organized by the following institutions. Now, the Education Development Center and Center for Curriculum Renewal and Educational Development overseas, CREDO, they convened it, and it was recommended that the CREDO and then the EDC should convene another meeting in the following year and invite participants from Africa, US, and Britain. Yeah, so plans were put in place to ensure that a conference was held in the following year. That is, the Queen's College was 1967. The Queen's College recommended a conference to be organized in Africa in the following year, 1968. And that led to the famous Mombasa Conference of 1968. Yes, in fact, as social studies expert, you should not forget about this particular conference. Yeah, it should be at the tip of your finger. Yeah. Your fingernails, yeah, it should be with you when we ask you to tell us about the Mombasa Conference. But Mombasa Conference laid a solid foundation for social studies education as we have it now. So you should have adequate knowledge in that now. So that is now. So the Oxford Conference, following the Oxford Conference, it was decided to issue invitations. So invitations were sent across the continent, especially to invite ministers of education and key stakeholders in education. Now, to the Mombasa Conference of 1968. The conference was held in August. So a group of African educators from 11 Anglophone countries met in Kenya to draft recommendations for social education in Africa. So where were the Francophone countries? Yes, so in all, 25 African educators met, 7 British, 6 American representatives of the 2 sponsoring bodies. What were the two sponsoring bodies? EDC and Credo. We have mentioned them. EDC and Credo sponsored the Mombasa Conference of 1968. So 11 African countries represented by 25 educators from Africa, from the 11 African countries. They met their British and American counterparts, 7 from Britain and then 6 from America. And so they discussed the issues. Now, the 11 African countries that represented Africa during the Mombasa conference were Ethiopia. Ethiopia was never colonized. Ethiopia was represented by Mr. M. Dina. Ghana had independence 1957, 6 March. Ghana was represented by Dr. K.B. Dixon. K.B. Dixon represented Ghana. Nigeria, 1st October 1960, was represented by Mr. M. A. Makinde. Sierra Leone, independence, 27th April 1961, represented by Dr. E. W. Blyden. Is there any question? Anybody's hand up? Good. Now we move on to Tanzania. Tanzania got independence now 9th December 1961, represented by Mr. J.E.F. Mina. Uganda gained independence 9th October 1962, represented by Mr. W. Sintiza Kajubi. Kenya got independence 12th December 1963, represented by Dr. F. Indiri. Malawi gained independence 1964, July 6, represented by Mr. L. B. Malunga. Zambia gained independence 24th October 1954, represented by Mr. M. Mumbi. Botswana independence 30th September 1966, represented by Mr. S. H. Modisi. And Lesotho gained independence 4th October 1966, was represented by Mr. S. Telijani. So these were the African countries, 11 African countries. There were other representatives. Yes. In fact, the conference was chaired by Dr. K.B. Not Dr. K.B. Dixon. The conference was chaired by another Ghanaian rep. Yes, another Ghanaian rep. I would like you to go and search for the name. Okay, let me do you that favor. Yeah, so Dr. M. Dowuna, who was the Commissioner of Education, Ministry of Education in Ghana, 1968. He chaired the conference. So Ghana, we had Dr. Dixon and Dr. Dowuna representing the country. In fact, it was at the time that Ghana was still under military rule. Don't forget, the 1968 conference, Ghana was still under military rule. And not only Ghana, some other African countries were under military rule. You see, Ghana, after gaining republic, 1st July 1966, Ghana experienced a first military takeover by the NLC, National Liberation Council, led by Kotoka, Fufa, and others. So 1968, plans were being made to hand over the military, the administration of the country from military rule to civilian. And then 1969, we had our election. Good. 1969, we had our election. Yes, so among the charge of the conference, determine what was meant by social studies, whether an integrated approach should be adopted, what objectives should the subject take? What objectives should the subject take? And then how the objectives were to be attained. So these were some of the issues that were, and then implications for teacher training, both pre-service and in-service. Yesterday we talked about pre-service and in-service. Resources that were needed to teach social studies, examination issues. Yes, so people were appointed to look into all these areas, to facilitate. Yes, so objectives of social studies were also formulated during the conference, Good. So, ladies and gentlemen, basically, these were the things that were discussed during the Mombasa Conference 68. Any questions so far? In fact, as part of the conference, the ASSP was also formed. ASSP was formed. Now, the ASSP played key role in the development of social studies in Africa. In fact, let me also put it on record that the countries that represented, the countries that were present, which countries did I mention? I talked about Lesotho. I talked about Malawi and others. In fact, the countries that were present, the countries, most of them were colonized by Great Britain. Most of them were colonized by Great Britain. For example, let me see. So let me go back and good. So Nigeria was colonized by Great Britain. Sierra Leone colonized by Great Britain. Tanzania, Great Britain, Uganda, Kenya, Malawi, Zambia, Botswana, Lesotho. These countries were all colonized by Great Britain. Yes, Great Britain. And the years in which they got their independence, but the Francophone countries did not show up. In fact, I don't know if that is the question that Mark Henry Akins wants to ask. Let me listen to him. And if that is not a question, I'll provide an answer to that. Yeah, Mark Henry Akins.
Yes. Doc, I just want to ask if you've combined the development of social studies to that of the teaching social studies.
If I have combined it,
the two, because one we have teaching social studies and one is development of social studies.
They are two.
Yeah. So yesterday we did teaching social studies, and then I don't know why we are still doing teaching social studies or development of social studies.
I know. I'm not getting your question. Why we are still doing teaching of social studies or development of social studies?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
One is on Saturday and then one is on Sunday.
Yes.
But yesterday we did teaching social studies, and then today we are continuing.
We're teaching social studies.
Yes, please.
Hey, Mark, your people are laughing. Your people are laughing because we are not doing teaching social studies today. We are doing development, and development is what I started with you since 7 o'clock. It's not teaching social studies. I don't know. You see, that is how the content has been structured. They are interrelated. Yes. Yesterday.
So that is what, how come I'm asking? It seems that
we are okay. We are not doing teaching social studies. We are doing development of social studies. Mark.
Okay, sir.
But don't forget to see a social studies, teaching social studies. We need to trace the background, and the background was traced to America, to Africa, and then to Ghana, and that the development of social studies has a similar area that also traces the history of social studies from. Yeah. So yesterday we talked about multidisciplinary, multimedia instructional resources. We also talk about the social studies teacher. Yes, the development of social studies does not talk about that. So here it doesn't talk about that, but it looks at how teachers were to be trained when social studies was initially introduced in 1968. How were teachers to be trained? Yes. So here it looks at the history of teacher training, but yesterday we looked at the qualities of a social studies teacher. So they are not the same.
Okay, sir.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So any other question? Any other question before we break? So we have what we call
Yeah, sir.
yes,
Hello, sir.
yes, right.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Hello, I'm listening.
Sir, the slides. Not all of us have got the slides, especially the one you are teaching today.
Yes. Mm. You get them, okay? All right.
He said we need
You need what?
that's right.
Yeah, you will get them. But I have given you reading materials. Let me find out. Have you made the effort to search for the reading materials? Hey, you haven't made the effort. You haven't searched for it, and you need it. Search for it, and I'll give you the slide. All right. So now the did not show up because of several reasons. One was language barrier. Two was the administrative style or leadership factors. You see, they inherited different type of education from their colonial masters. And we, those of us who were colonized by Great Britain, we inherited similar content. Yeah, so the weaknesses cut across all the colonies. Yeah, so the weaknesses in the education system of Tanzania was similar to that of Uganda, similar to that of Kenya, similar to that of Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Botswana. Yes, so there was therefore the need. And then it was also initiated by America, which had contact with the United Kingdom. Good. So that is why the Francophone countries were not actively engaged in it. Yeah, so that is it. Any question? Good. Yeah, so countries like let me mention some countries that were colonized by France. In Africa, we can talk about Gabon. Yeah, so Gabon was colonized by France. Mauritania by France. Niger was colonized by France. Somalia, Italy, Great Britain. Congo Democratic Republic by France. No, by Belgium. Congo is by Belgium. Yeah. Cameroon, France. Mali, France. Senegal, France. Yeah. So the administrative style was quite different from that of the Anglophone countries, and because we had similar colonial masters, the weaknesses were similar across all the colonies. Yeah, so these countries were not actively engaged in the social studies education. All right. Any questions so far? Is there any questions so far? Any questions so far? Good. So on that note, I think we end it here. We end it here. It's Friday. It's Friday, no, Saturday. Saturday morning. Saturday morning, we are starting with development of social studies in Africa. Saturday morning, development of social studies in Africa. Then Sunday morning, teaching social studies. Please, because we are dealing with development of social studies Saturday, we are going to use development of social studies link. Is it link? No, no, no. Let's use the teaching social studies link so that code can monitor. Yeah, so although we are dealing with development, we are using the Saturday link. We are using the Saturday link so that code can join us and then monitor. All right. Any question, any comment, any suggestion, any concerns? Aiba, Jonathan, go ahead with your submission.
Thank you very much. My concern is not entirely part of the lecture goal, but the first meeting we had with you were encouraging.
Aiba, we are not hearing you. We are not hearing you. Can you check your
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little.
You can. Okay. I was saying that my question is not entirely part of the lecture, but it's a concern also.
Please, kindly text your question through the chat.
All right.
Send it through the chat box. I cannot hear you well. To help us, Aiba, text it. Go to the chat box, and then I will respond to your question. Let me go to the chat box and then see if I can do one or two. Yeah, Barakisu says it's an interesting class. Wow, good. Yeah, interesting indeed. Yeah, Helena J. Tete is also laughing. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, Helen. Abigail, it is interconnected. It interconnect, please. Transfer of knowledge will be needed here. Yeah, so when somebody asks a question, whether we are doing teaching, I think Abigail said transfer of knowledge will be needed here. Kunadu, were there reasons why the Francophone countries did not attend the conference? Answer, I think answers have been given. They had different colonial masters. They had different administrative styles. Language barrier was one, and the move was initiated by countries that were colonized by Great Britain, United States of America being one. Yeah. Max Kekele said no question. Mark Kekele wants me to close, so he said no question. Harry Anin, please, where can we find the reading materials? Yes, when you check the bottom of the course outline, I've listed a lot of reading materials, so you can go to the library and go online. Victoria said, please, does it mean we are done for the day? Victoria, the answer is yes, for the day. Yeah, it was a surprise. Don't worry. I've structured it in such a way that we'll be able to finish within the time period. Victoria Riafe, your hand is up. Kindly make your submission before I go back to the chat box to address other issues. Victoria Riafe, your hand is up. Okay, whilst I wait for Victoria, Aiba, Jonathan has sent. Please, I will ask it later. My question is somehow lengthy. All right,
Okay,
Aiba.
sir, please, thank you. I wanted to find out. So when we break now, are we?
Yes, the answer has been given. Yes, the answer has been given. Yes, Victoria. Yes, I think I've given you the answer.
Okay.
Ayuba, Jonathan.
Okay.
Ayuba,
thank you.
Ayuba, so my question is somehow lengthy. So Ayuba, I advise that you check your microphone, because once you unmute yourself, it brings us feedback, background noise, yeah, which is sometimes unbearable. So please kindly check your microphone, or if you could, you can change your device. I think it will be of help to us. Salome, I want to sing one sociology song for you, Doctor, before you go. Hey, Salome, one sociology song for me, but oh, wow, I hear. I hear. Can we defer it to next week, beginning of the lecture, so that you can sing it for me? I don't know your response. Yes. Helen, J. Tete, can we kindly get past questions, please? Hey, Helen, we have not even got to the middle of the course and we are requesting for past questions. Don't worry. I'm going to discuss some likely questions with you at the end of the semester. Stephen Tamate, sir, please, we would be so grateful. The handout will go a long way to help us considering the time limit for this. Don't worry, the materials will be sent, the slides will be sent to you. So there's no cause for alarm. Good. Any question, comments, suggestions, concerns? All right. Good. So on that note, when we meet, God willing, in our next meeting, we are going to look at the ASSP. Going to look at the ASSP. Abena, your hand is up.
Sir, please.
Abena.
Sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, please, with the course outline, you said you've shared the course outline, but I don't have it. I don't have it. Yes.
I will share it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. I wish you all the best. Enjoy the rest of the day. Till we meet again. It's bye-bye for now. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Joe, good morning. Joe, me feel no go off. It happen a mass online now. Once the platform is like the daily.